Hire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant, Sabapathi, and Ozer Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Prashant, how are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. Always a pleasure to see you. And Ozer, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
I'm so happy to be in the studio with both of you today because I know that you have a lot of people that call in from watching the television show, and they have a lot of questions for you both. Obviously, a lot of our viewers that are out there right now, they're about, let's say, 5 to 10 years away from retirement a lot of times. And there are certain things that they should be thinking about more specifically than someone who's already in retirement. So I'd like to spend some time talking about that today. Would that be okay?
Let's do it.
All right. Prashant, one of the things that we've talked about, obviously, in the past is the importance of assessing your retirement savings when you're about 5 to 10 years away from retirement. Can you explain what that means exactly?
So for me, this really means kind of having a really good and clear vision of what you want retirement to look like. And there's 2 steps. Number 1, like you said, is assessing the retirement savings. Number 2 is developing kind of like a spending plan for what you think retirement is actually going to cost you. Like in our office, Ozer and I, we talk so much about the importance of creating an income in retirement, but you can't really plan for that income unless you actually have a concrete number that you're actually trying to work towards. So the first thing that we always kind of talk about is trying to help people figure out what their retirement lifestyle is going to cost. So let's say, you know, we were meeting with somebody just a couple weeks ago. They came in and said, we need $6,000 a month for our retirement lifestyle to feel as fulfilling as possible. And so we started to kind of build out that income. Where is that $6,000 going to actually come from? Social Security, pension, retirement assets like IRAs and 401ks. And once we have an understanding of what the income need is, then we can assess the retirement savings, see what you've actually accumulated, and most importantly, figure out how you can turn what you've accumulated into an income that empowers you to live the best possible life moving forward. And so 2 steps to that: create the spending plan, number 1, and then assess the retirement savings to figure out how you can turn the retirement savings into an income that allows you to live your most fulfilling version of retirement.
All right. And I love that you said most fulfilling version because, Ozer, you and Prashant are so passionate about people thriving during their retirement years. You don't want to see them just get by. You want them to go out and enjoy life as much as they would like to. So when they're 5 to 10 years away, do you ever recommend that they maybe test drive their retirement to see if they're staying within the guardrails of what they think they might be spending?
They should definitely do that. The most important thing is that they need to take a look at, like Prashant says, like what is their budget? And the budget usually comes with the needs. The needs are maybe $6,000. Then what you're going to do at the retirement time, because you work all your life to get to that point, and now you want to enjoy the life. Maybe you're going to want $8,000 or $9,000. So there is only 5 to 10 years left. Let's try to see how we're going to get that numbers. And when we try to get to that numbers, maybe you have to take some advantage of maximizing your retirement contributions. Like sometimes our employers make additional contributions to our retirement. Maybe we can put more money towards the retirement so it can be bigger, hopefully, when we get to the retirement age.
And then to kind of piggyback on practicing your lifestyle, it's like so many people work for 30 or 40 years and then they get to retirement and it's almost like flipping a switch where now you were going to work and now you're not, right? And that's a huge change to have to go through. So I love the idea of kind of test driving retirement where maybe you scale back your work instead of just, you know, flipping that switch and going from working to retired. Maybe you scale it back, go to part-time, and then transition into retirement so you can practice, for lack of a better word, doing some of those things you want to do, whether it's travel, volunteer in the community, spend more time with the kids and the grandkids, whatever that means to you to make life as fulfilling as possible. Practicing the retirement lifestyle, great idea as you head for that next phase of your lifetime.
And that way you feel like you're retiring with a purpose too, and you can find what you're passionate about. Maybe you want to volunteer somewhere, or maybe you just want to work part-time doing something so that you feel like you're contributing.
Yeah, and you know, we always say it's not just about what you're retiring from, but really more so, what are you retiring to? I mean,
True.
you sacrificed for 30 or 40 years, giving up 30 or 40% of your lifestyle to build towards retirement.
It's true.
You got to put that 30 or 40% that you didn't get to use while you were working to the most productive lifestyle possible to live the way that you want to.
Absolutely. And Ozzy, what about really diving in and x-raying your investment portfolio? How important is that for someone that's about 5 to 10 years away from retirement?
Most of the time, what I tell the clients, and you know, Prashant does the same thing. When you're at the working years, you're trying to build the portfolio and you're trying to make it as big as possible. That is the most important thing for the people before they get to retire. But how I look at it, when you get close to 5 years, maybe you need to set back a little bit and try to be ready for the retirement, because you don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 years. If the 2020 happens and you were close to the retirement, now you lost portion of your retirement, now you need the time to make that back. So the closer you get to retirement, I do believe that you have to start peeling back a little bit to be ready.
Sure.
Without a doubt. And, you know, when it comes to evaluating investments, we always say losses hurt more than gains help the closer you get to retirement. I mean, you look back at the early 2000s, right? We went through this boom leading up to the dot-com crisis, and then what we saw from 2000 to kind of 2003 is the market went down by a significant amount, like over 30% over that 2-year period of time. And then it took forever. I'm talking about took another 4 or 5 years to get back to the market highs that we saw in 2000. Then we all remember what happened in 07, 08, and bottomed out in 09, 55% approximate downturn, and then we didn't see that market high again until 2013. So we're talking about from 2000 to 2013, where we pretty much had no growth in the market. That's why they call it the lost decade of investing. Now, while you're working, that's a good thing, right? Because you're putting money in as the market goes down. But when you're retired, I think what you have to ask yourself is, can I afford to go 12 and a half years where I'm making no money on my money? And not only that, I'm not putting money in, I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm taking that money out. And when I'm pulling money out of a falling market, it becomes really, really difficult to get back to even. And so x-raying the investments is a great idea. You want to understand how much risk you're taking. One of the exercises we take all of our folks through is a comprehensive analysis of how much risk and reward is in their portfolio. And one of the coolest things, I've been told this is one of the most valuable things that we do for folks, is we can do a portfolio stress test. And what that stress test is going to show you is how your investments are anticipated to perform in a really good market, which is important. But I think what's more important is understanding what is going to happen to those investments in a really catastrophic market, one that we saw in 2020, one that we remember in 2008. And if you've never been through that process, it is a really eye-opening experience, because what you don't want to have happen is you lose too much money at the wrong time. It takes you forever to recover, and now you are at a significant risk of running out one day. You know, and so what I would love to do is let's open up our phone lines. The phone number is 833-308-5200. Now, when you call into that phone number, you'll have the opportunity to book a no-cost, no-obligation visit with our team at Elite Income Advisors. When you come in to visit with us, you're not agreeing to become a client. You're not agreeing to do business with us. But what you are doing is you're getting what you need down that retirement educational path. When you come in to visit with us, we're going to do a couple of different things. Number one, we're going to put you through that portfolio stress test, show you how much risk you're taking and whether or not that is consistent with your retirement goals. Number two is we're going to put together a retirement income plan. That income plan is going to help you map out what your income is going to look like and where those sources of income are ultimately going to come from in retirement. And number three, we have to talk about taxes. I think we'll probably spend the next segment talking a little bit about taxes. If taxes go up in the future, you have to understand how that is going to impact your retirement income and your ability to have a secure lifestyle where you do not run out of money. When you call that phone number, you'll be able to schedule one of those no-cost, no-obligation visits with our team. It is exclusive for TV watchers today, so you can just call in. It's 833-308-5200. You can also pull out your cell phone, scan the QR code here, and schedule a visit with us that way. So phone lines are open. Call now.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 833-308-5200. Or as Prashant mentioned, if you have your smartphone handy, go ahead, grab it, click on the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That's going to take you right to the landing page. We know that you have a lot of questions about how to plan your perfect retirement. Ozzy and Prashant have the answers for you. Don't miss the opportunity to call in today, 833-308-5200. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Go ahead, fill up your coffee, but come back. We're going to talk a lot about taxes in retirement when we return. So stay tuned. We'll be right back momentarily.
Before COVID, we were around 4 or 5 people.
It's a pretty tight-knit team that we have.
But now we are growing and we have about 14 people right now.
It's really 4 or 5 advisors and 4 or 5 support folks, plus an accountant, CPA.
What I'm trying to really create is the family place that everyone loves what they do and enjoys helping the client. My parents, when they had their own company with my father, everybody liked to work because he liked to take care of the people, he likes to help the people, and I'm trying to establish the same thing in our company.
It's very much a team, kind of family-like culture at our company. You know, we hang out outside of work, we care a lot about each other's personal lives as well.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Ozzy Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Gentlemen, a great show we're having today and talking about a very important topic, things that people should be doing if they're 5 to 10 years away from retirement. We have to talk about the elephant in the room. We have to talk about taxes, especially as we approach the retirement years. Prashant, why is that such an issue for our retirees right now?
So let's, I do a lot of workshops all over Maryland, and one thing that I ask to every single room that I speak to is, and we can take a survey here between us, is in the next 10 or 15 years, do we think taxes are going to be higher or are they going to be lower than what they are today, income taxes?
Higher.
I think most people think that they're going to be higher because we're sitting on tens of trillions of dollars of national debt, and it certainly seems like that problem is just getting worse year by year, right? And so taxes we think are going to go up. I think what retirees and pre-retirees, if you're 5 to 10 years away from retirement, really need to start thinking about is when taxes go up in the future, if they in fact do, how is that going to impact my bottom line? If higher taxes, ultimately what it leads to is less income in your pocket. Less income in your pocket means you have to either adjust your lifestyle downwards, or it means that you have to save more money so that you can withdraw more money. The more money you withdraw, the higher the probability is that you're going to run out one day. So I think higher taxes is something that we all really need to be concerned about heading into retirement. And so, one of the things that we try to talk with our clients about is where can we figure out how to minimize the future tax liability? And I think there's a couple different things that we can do to ultimately go down that path.
Ozzy, what are the couple of things that you can do to go down that path, if you will, to avoid the higher taxes? Is that something like maybe doing a Roth conversion, if that's applicable to someone?
Roth conversion can be one of that things if it's the right thing for the person who is trying to do that. Also, when we look at it, what I do believe is that most of the retirement accounts that it's going to grow at the retirement, and we're going to take withdrawals out from this account, and that's going to raise our taxes. So maybe we should start either doing a Roth conversion or try to find other ways to maybe pay the taxes today and put that money aside that we might be able to use it in the later days. That can be another solution.
I think that's so important what you said. Let's kind of unpack that a little bit, because all these folks are doing a great job saving money. You're saving it into your 401k, your IRA, your TSP, and you're doing that because we were always taught what? to save money before taxes, because we get a tax deduction for making those contributions. And then when we retire, hopefully we're in a lower tax bracket in retirement. So what you said is so correct. When you get to retirement and now you need income, you are pulling money out of those pre-tax retirement accounts to create that income, which means you pay federal, you pay state, you pay all those taxes. The issue is, what if taxes are higher in the future? We all thought they were going to be lower, but I know one thing you talk about all the time is, does it make sense to proactively take that money out of your 401k or IRA before you actually need it, so that you can move it to a more tax efficient vehicle for the future? Remember, I think in the industry, I always joke my 3 favorite words are income tax free, right? If we have income tax free assets, that's going to allow us to hold on to more of our money when taxes go up. And this is something that Ozzy's, really kind of taken the lead with our firm in kind of specializing in how to reduce future tax liability. We actually brought on a CPA, in-house CPA counsel for our clients. And what she does is, Stephanie helps a lot of people, our clients, she helps them do IRA and Roth planning for the future. It's been an invaluable tool that a lot of our clients have been able to take advantage of.
Sure, that makes sense. Ozzy, I should also ask you, how important is it to do tax planning when there's a loss of one spouse? Talk to me about that a little bit. What happens when someone passes away?
It's a great question. Actually, we were just talking about this with Prashant right before the show. And when we look at this, the taxes, the risks are like what we are going to see. It's about the brackets and everything. And the tax codes are always written with the, the pencil, right? That can be changed anytime. We don't know when that change is going to happen. When we calculate our income for the future, we look at the retirement account distributions, and we calculate that, okay, we're going to be in this tax bracket, so I should be fine. But the one other thing we don't think about is, what if my spouse passes away? When the spouse passes away, what happens is, now I was filing for married, now I'm filing for single. The whole taxes thing changed. Maybe I may need the same amount of money that I'm going to take out from my retirement accounts, but now I'm going to pay for the single taxpayer rate, which is going to be higher than what you're paying for the married.
And we call, in our office, we call it the widow tax, right? And it's one of these things that I think a lot of people don't want to think about, or their advisors never actually talk to them about it. It's like, you change from married filing jointly to filing single, and that is a huge, huge thing. I mean, look, I think one of the unfortunate parts of COVID, obviously, is we saw a lot of our clients, worst part of our job is when our clients pass away, but now we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to help them plan for that next phase after losing a spouse. And planning doesn't just mean, let's make sure we have enough income. It means, let's go from married filing jointly to filing single, but trying to minimize the tax liability along the way. I'll tell you what, if you've never thought about that, if you've never thought about how to plan when your spouse is gone, if you're sitting at home saying, my advisors never talked with us about that, it's a great opportunity to call into the show. The phone number here is 833-308-5200. When you call into the show, you'll be able to schedule that complimentary, no obligation visit with our team. Now, we have a limited number of spots every week. They are exclusive. We make them available just to our TV audience every week. But when you call in, we're going to help you put together what we call the Retire Smart Roadmap. It's going to include that income for life plan. It's going to be a conversation about taxes, both while you're living and when one spouse passes away. What about Social Security? We didn't talk about Social Security survivor benefits. One spouse passes away, there is actually a way to try to maximize the survivor benefit that you get from Social Security. And so these are very important topics that I think everybody needs to talk about. Pick up the phone, give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. You can also visit retiremaryland.com or pull out your smartphone, scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 833-308-5200. As Prashant mentioned, these spots are actually available only for the TV viewers today, so please don't miss your opportunity to call in. We know that you have a lot of questions for Ozzy and Prashant about how to plan your perfect retirement. today is just for you. Please pick up your phone, click on that QR code. It'll take you right to the landing page. What we're talking about in today's show, obviously, is planning if you're 5 to 10 years away from retirement. What should you be doing? We're going to talk a little bit about what Prashant mentioned, Social Security, but we're also going to talk about how important it is to work with the right advisor when you're planning your retirement. Stay tuned. We'll be right back momentarily.
Do you have the answers to these 4 key retirement questions? How much should you save each year for retirement? How much do you need to have saved in order to retire? What will your retirement savings cover? How can you make your retirement savings last the rest of your life? We'll cover all of this and more by building you a complimentary retirement roadmap. Just visit retiremaryland.com today, and you'll also receive a complimentary copy of my book, Fiscal Health, Retirement Wealth.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Ozer Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Gentlemen, such an important show this one is today because obviously so many people are in the viewing audience right now, and they're thinking about what they should be doing. We talked about test driving their retirement. We've talked about tax planning. I'd love to spend some time in this final segment talking about even understanding how to file for your Social Security benefits and when to start claiming your Social Security. Prashant, do you have any guidance on that?
Look, Social Security is a huge decision, and unfortunately, there's not a heck of a lot of do-overs if you get it wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I think taking care of optimizing your Social Security benefit within the context of your specific retirement plan is so important. I feel like we get a lot of what I call armchair advice, right? You get a lot of advice from your coworkers or your best friend or your golf buddy, but the simple fact is that person does not have to live with the consequences of a bad decision,
That's
right?
true.
And so, anytime, I always joke because I come from a family of medical professionals. And by the way, we have a lot of doctors as clients.
Right.
And I was always taught that when you're making a big medical decision, you want to go see a specialist,
Sure.
right? You want to go see the specialist. Why is your Social Security, which is such a huge retirement decision, why is that any different? Go see a specialist to figure out when the best time to collect your benefits actually are. And one of the things that we provide when you come in to visit with us is something that we call a Social Security timing report. And that timing report is going to take you through all of the different available options. Maybe you have a strategy in your mind that you want to evaluate. We can actually put that in to our tools and show you whether or not it is actually the optimal way to collect your Social Security. There's so many different options out there. You don't want to be leaving tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table when you make that decision.
And when you're thinking about the Social Security, the people thinks that it's the lowest number ever, right? But when you look at the numbers in a lifetime, if somebody lives to be 30 some years old, since right now we're spending more money in retirement than we work, right? And 30 years in just one person could be over $1 million of an income.
Yeah.
And we don't look at it from that perspective. We say, it's Social Security. Like Prashant says, you gotta have to make sure that you're, collecting at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ozer, obviously the other very important component there is working with the right financial advisor. Let's talk a little bit about that to our viewers at home that perhaps have some questions in their mind. How important is it when you're approaching the retirement years to have an advisor that really helps to specialize in that area of life?
At the beginning of the show, I do believe we said that, like most of your years you're working, and when you're working, you're collecting a lot of money, and that money is growing and so forth. So all that years when you do this, then you come to the phase, now it's the distribution phase. At the distribution phase, you may want to work with someone who is specialized in the distribution. And when it comes to distribution, it's not just taking an income out of a retirement account like Prashant says, how to take it out, where to take it out, Social Security, when to collect it, how to collect it, and the same thing with the taxes. Like, we have to make sure that we can minimize our taxes, again, like by the law, whatever we can do to minimize our taxes, because like we're going to live to be another 30, 35 years. We
right.
want that money to be last.
Sure, sure.
And really, what I would say is there's a heck of a lot of really good advisors out there. Okay, what we find is most of the people that come to us actually already have advisors.
Yeah.
They're not typically do-it-yourselfers. Now we see some do-it-yourselfers, but a lot of people have already taken that important step by working with an advisor. I think what you have to look at is what is your advisor specialized in?
Yeah.
Like Oz is saying, are they specialized in the accumulation phase of life, or are they specialized in the distribution phase of life? And what we find is there's a heck of a lot of really good advisors out there that are specialized in helping people accumulate money. Now, we'll tell you, we're not the accumulation specialists. That's not what our practice is focused on. What our practice focuses on is the distribution phase of life, not only making sure you have enough income, because here's what we always say, like to make things as simple as possible, like while you're working, your financial life is just a function of what I call money in, money out, right?
True.
You got a paycheck coming in, you got expenses going out, and you do your very best to save as much as you can along the way.
True.
But when you retire, it's still very much so about money in and money out. The only thing that changes is where the money in actually comes from.
Yeah.
If it's not coming from your paycheck, it's got to come from somewhere else. And that's where working with a distribution specialist can help you understand where that money in is actually going to come from, how to maximize it, and like Ozzy said, how to minimize the tax liability associated with it.
So it's so important to work with the right advisor, especially in the retirement years, because Prashant, you just touched on something very important. Obviously, people get a paycheck for all their working years, but now all of a sudden, they're responsible for paying themselves, if you will.
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you what, it's a pretty scary thing to go through if you don't have a pension. We know this because our radio show listeners, our folks who watch TV, they come on in and they visit with us and they say, I have no clue where my income's going to come from. Like, yeah, we have Social Security, but we know Social Security doesn't typically cover nearly what we need it to when we get to retirement. What about health care costs? I mean, we probably could have spent a whole show talking about health care costs and Medicare. And so, look, I know that there's folks sitting at home probably a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit worried about where your retirement paycheck is going to come from. If your advisor has never walked you through that, or if you're unsure about it and you just want a second look, last opportunity for today's show to pick up the phone and give us a call. That phone number again, 833-308-5200. It's 833-308-5200. When you call in, you'll be able to book that complimentary, no obligation visit with our team at Elite Income Advisors. And when you come in to visit with us, we will take you through the retirement income planning report. We'll help you coordinate the Social Security. We'll put you through the portfolio stress test to show you how much risk and return is in your portfolio. And lastly, we will have a conversation about how to minimize your future tax liability potentially. It all starts with that phone call, 833-308-5200. You can also visit retiremaryland.com.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us on Retire Smart Maryland. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today.